everybody, welcome to this episode where we meet the federal candidates. Today we're here with Giovanna Mingarelli, the Liberal candidate. So to start today's interview, could you tell us what your goals are for the region of Prescott-Russell and Cumberland?
Absolutely. So I have 5 priorities. The first, and what I'm hearing resoundingly at the door from the thousands of citizens and constituents that I've spoken with, are their concerns about affordability and Trump's tariffs.
Yeah.
And so my priorities are 5, like within that line of reasoning. So the first is supporting and defending our economy, so the local economy. This can be done quite simply with things like buy local, right? So there's no reason that we can't buy local products, local produce, purchase one another's services. And then also reducing barriers to interprovincial trade, right? So right now, an abattoir in L'Orignal can't sell their meat to Quebec, which I think is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's something that we want to be rid of so that we can support the local businesses. The second thing is supporting industry. So I met with, for example, Ivaco Rolling Mills a couple of weeks ago, their president, Stéphane Orly, as well as some of their workers. And we had a really good conversation about what their concerns are. Their main concern is stability, right? So and this is true not just for Ivaco, but for any business in our riding in this region, right? So it's maintaining stability through the tariffs, making sure that no more layoffs are required, and that the business can just survive, right, until the tariffs are either reduced or eliminated effectively. The third would be agriculture. So I come from a family on my mother's side of 5th-generation Canadian dairy farmers. Oh. And so I'm deeply compassionate and supportive of the agricultural industry here in our riding. And I met with over a dozen farmers last weekend to hear from them about what their concerns are. Yeah. Resoundingly, through the concerns with the United States and again, President Trump's tariffs, their concerns are with supply management and just making sure that our farmers here in Prescott-Russell-Cumberland are protected from any further renegotiations with the United States, right? And that our supply management is not brought to the table. And that is something that we are going to work on ensuring so that our farmers and the farming community can be stable as well. Fourth, official languages. So I'm proud to be fluently bilingual. I went to École élémentaire catholique Sainte-Trinité and then Rockland District High School for my secondary. Yeah. And so I've been schooled in both official language systems here in Prescott-Russell-Cumberland. I am going to do my best to ensure that at the federal level, when speaking with Prime Minister Mark Carney, we're able to ensure that both official languages are supported at the highest levels of government.
Okay, that's great.
And then finally, just as a broad focus, it's very important to me that all of these things are done. So these conversations with stakeholders, my visits, policy discussions, open consultations, and the outcoming policies are done with dignity, respect, and kindness for all communities. I've spent over 15 years working in multi-partisan politics. I have a long track record of working to promote the advancement, for example, of women and youth in federal politics through organizations such as Equal Voice. And I wish to maintain a high level of civility and dignity in interactions with all groups.
Yeah, well, that's great. And how do you plan to obtain the community support?
Well, as I've been doing, right? So very proactively consulting with stakeholders, right? If there's an issue with dairy, you meet with the farmers. If there's an issue with steel, you meet with the industries in steel, like Ivaco, right? And so likewise, I'm actually meeting with a group of elementary school students next week to and these are young children, to do a Q&A about what their concerns are in Prescott-Russell-Cumberland, right? So it's basically integrating being available, being receptive to people's concerns, to the community's concerns, and then integrating those concerns into my thought process and into the legislative process by extension.
Well, that's great. And how do you plan to involve the community in your decision making?
So I intend to continue to have open conversations with the community through various forums, including using a lot more local media. So engaging both local and social media to receive feedback, receive public feedback, and then also to share my views. I want to be accessible and available so that people can express their concerns to me, and so that I can, appropriately move forward with my decision making in a way that is inclusive of all the groups involved.
Okay. And what separates you from the other candidates?
Well, I mean, I'm from Rockland. I live in Rockland, so I'm a local. I have 25 years experience in federal politics. I worked previously for Prime Minister Paul Martin when I was a student. This was many years ago. I've since also lived and worked in the United States for 10 years in New York, San Francisco, and Seattle. So I have a huge amount of Canada-US experience, which is very relevant right now with our American relationship at risk.
Yeah.
I also have, again, over 15 years experience of multipartisan work, again, related to the advancement of women and youth in federal politics. And so I'm very experienced in federal politics. I'm also acting as an inclusive leader with other members of other parties. So I really do make an effort to be, inclusive of other parties' views in my decision making. Because at the end of the day, once you're the member of parliament, there's still all the other parties, right, that care and that are trying to promote their own views. And so I want to be inclusive and make sure that, we have the right voices at the table. And I think that actually makes me stand out from a more divisive and confrontational view.
Yeah, of course. And what is your relation to your riding?
Well, I see my riding as my home, right? Like I grew up in Rockland. I love my community. It's where I feel safe and stable. It's a place where I want children to grow up and feel like they have opportunities in life and to succeed, whatever it is that they want to do. I want families that live here to feel, like they have a happy life where their needs are met and fulfilled, and for people like business owners and farmers to have what they need and to have food on the table and to be able to pay their employees. And so, to me, it's the most basic. The most basic requirements are the most important as well. That's what I want to focus on in helping our community prosper and in a united, wholesome way moving forward.
That's great. And what made you decide to run as Liberal candidate?
So I was approached by Francis Drouin, the current member of parliament, current member of parliament for another very, very short period of time. Last summer, he said he wasn't running again. I've always wanted to run. I've known for about 20 years that I wanted to run since I got into politics when I was in my teens. And, he said he wasn't seeking re-election, and I had thought about it. And it was a really good time for me to do it. And so I threw my hat in the ring and I ran for the nomination, got acclaimed at the end of January, uncontested.
Yeah, that's great.
And here I am.
And what's a core issue in Prescott-Russell-Cumberland region that you'd like to address?
So, as I previously mentioned, I'm deeply passionate about helping women and girls. And one of the projects that I would like to support is Maison Interlude. Which is an organization that has spent 30 years working to support women and children that are at risk of domestic violence or are experiencing domestic violence.
Yeah.
They have a new project. They're working to build new housing to support more families and more women and children. And that is something that I would very much like to support as one example.
And how do you plan to involve the Francophone community in your decision making?
Well, I plan to, similar to all communities, I plan to host open conversations with the Francophone community. Already during the election, I've met with various, Franco-Ontarian teachers groups. I've had actually several meetings with them, different breakfasts across the riding in Hawkesbury and also here in Rockland to discuss their concerns. and to integrate that into my decision making. I'm going to be at the various cultural events like La Journée de la Francophonie, right? Like that's very important to me.
Yeah.
I also want to help the Anglophone community understand the importance of the Francophone culture and why that's important to both Francophones and Anglophones.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Those are all the questions I have for you today.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.